Hello and welcome to Around the Hoop, the Westwood basketball program. I'm your host, Mike Gay, the first edition of 2020, so Happy New Year to all of you at home. The fifth edition of Season 3. Welcome, coaches.
Thank you.
It's great to be here.
Huge couple of weeks. This last week where everyone was off, you guys were hard at work. You had a couple of non-conference games, traveled to Lincoln Sudbury, and then also traveled to Wayland.
Yeah.
Walk us through those two games.
Yeah, so we won both games, both very close, very defensive-minded, low scoring, but good for us to be able to pull out a win. You always talk about your team resume, and to be able to kind of grind it out in a close game twice in 4 days was kind of fun. Just great experience for the girls, especially some of the younger girls. Lincoln Sudbury, the score was 30-26. Again, points just hard to come by, but really good defense on both ends. They were really aggressive. We were able to match that, which was good. We threw a little bit more zone at them than we usually do. We found that was working, and that was sort of our recipe for success. And we had kids, make plays down the stretch, which is important too. Didn't really knock down the free throws we needed to seal the deal, but we still got the win, so that's important. And then Wayland, we played at a New Year's Eve matinee, which was fun. And similar game. It started slowly and kind of went slowly the whole game. But again, just two defensive-minded teams. Against them, we went with a little more full court pressure. We found more success there. So definitely showed our versatility and how we can win games in different ways, which was really good. And we got contributions from everybody. The injury bug is hitting us a little harder, so we're making the best of it. But yeah, it's good vacation.
Coach, what did both teams do defensively that gave you a challenge in scoring?
I think in general, we're just still working to get in our offensive flow. There's so many new faces and things like that. Can't really use that excuse for long. We're already a quarter of our way through our schedule, but we're just trying to get girls to be more assertive in general. I think offensively, as a team, we're coming together, but we need people that just want to put the ball in the net. And I think it's the assertiveness is the word I've been using a lot in practice, as well as just reminding them you always have to be a threat. So LS and Wayland are both really well coached, really disciplined. They play really, really hard. So that's a challenge no matter who you play against. But I think assertiveness is definitely going to be the key moving forward to get some more points on the board.
Awesome. A little bit later, we're going to go over a couple of the plays that I think can highlight some of the things that you're doing well as a team. Coach St. Martin, you hosted the Westwood Winter Basketball Tournament at Beta Gymnasium at Westwood High School. Going into it, you were up against some solid competition.
Right.
So everything was in play, literally going 0-2
right.
or winning the tournament.
Correct.
Walk everybody through that.
The first game we matched up against Hingham, and then the other side was Needham and Foxborough. So you're talking about three really quality teams, Needham being a great Division I team that's consistently in the tournament and come from a really tough league. Hingham, a quality Division II team who's, again, consistently been in the tournament and coming from a strong league in the Patriot League. And then finally, Foxborough, once again, consistently in the state tournament and coming from a very strong Hockomock League. So you're talking about three really tough teams, and we matched up with Hingham first. Didn't start well. They came out on fire, and it was this quick 7-0. We were in the hole. Responded well and ran on a 10-0 run ourselves, and then the game kind of was pretty close throughout the first half. And the third quarter, we were able to separate and create some space and just knock down some shots and get some stops defensively and increase the lead, and we were able to win that game, which set up a matchup against Foxborough in the championship game, who beat Needham in a close game. Foxborough was up ahead and Needham ran back, and it was a really tight game to the end. So for us, we actually started this game very fast and then stopped executing the way we should have, and Foxborough, being as great as they are and as well coached as they are, as soon as that happens, they took advantage and went on a run themselves, and we ended up finding ourselves behind, finishing the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, we were able to capitalize offensively and defensively to make enough plays to pull ahead and get a W, so that was great.
So huge success. Talking with the parents around the boosters. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Great crowds.
Right.
So talk a little bit about what the tournament means to the boosters and to the programs in general.
Sure. I mean, we do this as a fundraiser, so the boosters has to foot the bill for everything. So we pay for the refs, the people who work the clock, the people who do the scorebook, etc. So all that stuff has to come out, but we get to keep the gate when we do that. And it's a great relationship that Matt Gillis has with us and allows us to do those things. But the gate is so important, and when you have quality teams, it's going to draw a lot of people, not only from their fan base, but folks around who want to scout and see things. And so we use it to run as a fundraiser, And we did a really great job with that. Plus, we had a nice prize. It's $100 worth of scratch tickets for a raffle that one of the custodians ended up winning at the high school, which was great.
Oh, it's great for him, but it wasn't great for me. I was very disappointed. No, it was awesome. The concessions did a great job as well.
Correct.
So a huge win for Westwood. Again, going into that, certainly, I wouldn't have put you as the favorite to win, but great contributions up and down the line. James McGowan was the MVP,
right?
And I know Mark James, MJ, was also an all-star.
Correct.
And then other all-stars from the other teams as well. So let's take a look ahead. I'll start with you, Coach. Again, tonight you are at home in Bader Gymnasium. By the time this airs, it'll be a really quick turnaround for people to get there. But
we'll take you at halftime.
Talk about tonight and then into next week.
So we host Hopkinton tonight. They're 3-0, off to a good start. Always just a good team in our league. They were young last year, so they're just a year older and wiser, and they're playing really well. So they're versatile, they're deep, they're a tough team to prepare for. So we did our best with that, and we'll see if the girls are ready to go. But we had a good couple practices, and we're hopefully ready.
What do they do well that's going to be challenging for your team?
Everything. They're long. They run the floor well. They're really good defensively and scrappy. So I think hopefully we can again find a little bit better flow with our offense. And then just defensively, we're definitely giving up a height advantage too. So we need to make sure we rebound well and continue playing the good defense that we have been the last few games.
Are there any key players that you're going to look to neutralize, or are they just again
they're more deep than with any superstars. They definitely have some leading scorers and things like that, but they have a lot of different threats, so we can't really ignore anybody.
Got it. How about next week?
Next week we travel to Norton on Tuesday, and then we host Norwood in a doubleheader on Friday night.
Awesome. Coach, walk us through your travel down the Mass Pike to Hopkinton tonight.
Yep, we go to Hopkinton again, similar to what Coach Clifford was saying about the girls team. Very scrappy defensively, shoot the ball tremendously well, and very well coached in the sense that what they do, their system, they run it really, really well. They're a pressing team. They zone press you. They play a zone, but they can also mix and match and play a man. So they're a very, very tough team. They're 2-0 in the league right now, too, so I think 3-1 overall, so they're a very good team.
Got it.
It's going to be a challenge for us, and we need to make sure that we show up and ready to play.
One of the things that you mentioned is getting off to a quick start. You didn't do that in the Hingham game. You did do that against Foxborough.
Correct.
What do you do? Is it just the boys showing up, or is there anything that you can do to try to jumpstart?
Look, part of it is preparation, right? Part of it is mentality, and those things are really important. And you're setting yourself up for your mentality. I tend to tell the boys that every game's the same. You can't treat one team different than the other because they're all good teams. You have to play every team to your best. The job is to do your best, not to do your best against this team or that team, but to do your best always. I just think that the preparation is super important in making sure mentally that you're prepared for it. And as a coach, you just try to put them in those situations, whether it's a scouting report, walking through different things. So the fast start, slow start, sometimes it's how people warm up. Sometimes you're warming up in whatever pre-game warm-up you do before the ball's tipped, whether it's 2 lines, whatever. Sometimes it's you getting the quality shots to put yourself in position to be ready to play, your body loose enough to do it, or you're just going through the motions. And those are all tough things that every single player from high school all the way to the professional level deal with.
Yeah, and sometimes you can have a great start and still be behind because the other team is executing at a different level.
Absolutely.
As well. Yeah.
And quick starts also deal with execution.
Yeah.
You have to execute on both ends.
Oh, that's great. Walk us through next week.
So then Sunday we have a makeup. We host Bellingham at 6 o'clock at Beta Gym. And then we host Norton on Tuesday and Norwood with the doubleheader coach was talking about on Friday. So it's a real tough matchup. It's going all the way through quality teams. Bellingham's 6-0. Norton's 2-1, I believe, in the league. Norwood's undefeated in the league, 2-0, 3-1 overall. So this week is going to be very important for us to see if how we respond to how we just finished, because the tournament was great and awesome, but that's over. So now it's like you can't rest on your laurels. You have to keep moving forward. The idea is to consistently climb the mountain. And then you get to the top, and then you can rest. So we want to get there first. So
next Friday, doubleheader, Norwood. really interesting because there's ties to both games for you, Coach Clifford,
Yep.
and the fact that not only are you going to be in one of the games, coaching against Norwood, but the boys team is coached by one of your good friends.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and the kind of the interesting dynamic that will be happening at Bader Gymnasium.
Yeah, I think we'll throw in that I also played at Norwood High, so there's another
Oh, that's right, the
wrinkle
third.
for
I
you
just
too.
forgot
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
probably the biggest one. But yeah, I'm really close to the girls coach, Amy Quinn over there. Actually went to Holy Cross like I did and played there, but after I didn't play there, she played there. But after me, so I missed her there, but I've gotten to know her just through coaching. She's great. And then Krista McDonald was the longtime Braintree girls coach who had an almost immeasurable amount of success over there, and has taken over for the boys program in Norwood and is doing a really good job so far.
Yep, and it's just a testament to the quality of coaching in the TBL in general,
Yeah.
both the boys and the girls side. So that's great. So we're going to transition to our Chalk Talk,
Sure.
our Coach's Corner, and we're going to start with you, Coach Clifford,
Sure.
to make sure that you're logged in here. Don't mind us behind the curtain. And so why don't you tee up the plays that you're going to walk us through, and then as we go through, we can just talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So our first play is a really simple, just a wing ball screen action, and I think the point I want to make is that all 5 players are still involved, even though it seems like just a 2-man action. The second play is just a really, really good defensive and hustle play by Caitlin Fleming, which was a huge spark for us over in Wayland on Tuesday. So if I start running this first play, Katie Kissel's at the point. She takes the ball. She's going to pass to Caitlin Fleming, and then she's hopefully going to get a ball screen from Chloe Callahan. What you'll notice on this is as Katie goes through, she just throws the pass a little too wide, and Chloe can't set the screen. But you have to give Chloe credit here for not trying to slide into that and set a moving screen. So we tell the post, it's the guard's job to run their defender off of you. If they don't, you still just have to stand there. So the first option of that play wasn't open for us, and as soon as Katie goes through, Chloe's going to turn and set a ball screen for Caitlin Fleming. So what happens here, this one, she gets good contact on that screen, and Caitlin gets almost into the paint. One of the things we often talk about is all paint touches are good touches. So if the ball gets inside, there's just a better chance of something good happening. What she's looking at is, and I think when we watch it again, I think she might have had Chloe on the roll, but just didn't see it, which is fine. We're trying to get Katie, who's down here on the baseline now, to run through to this corner as fast as she can to have 2 shooting options. One would be Katie in the corner, and 2 is Olivia Holbrook, who will be on the show in a few minutes, who ends up knocking down a 3, not to spoil the ending here. So Caitlin draws an extra defender, sees Katie open on the baseline. Katie makes a great quick touch pass, which you'll see in real time, to Liv, who was wide open. Liv's defender got baited by Caitlin's pass, and then Liv knocks down the 3. And that's it. So,
That's great.
And then even just to think about, again, all 5 people are involved. So Katie was sort of the first option, also a decoy, ended up with the assist. Caitlin obviously made the drive in the pass. Chloe sets a couple screens. And even Sarah Roycroft, who's over here, who I haven't mentioned, just to spread the floor and keep her defender out this way, so Caitlin has a little bit more room. You have to respect Sarah and her game, so that just gives a little bit of spacing. So even though it seems like a pick and roll is a 2-man game, all 5 people were involved, and it was a really good possession for us. So the second play is a great defensive hustle play by Caitlin Fleming, who is, again, watching her girl, but also paying attention to the ball. She sees the offense start to make a spin move here and jumps it and steals the ball, which first and foremost is a great play. One she has to make sure she gets contact on, or her girl gets a wide open 3. And then what you'll see is she sort of tips the ball, stumbles a little bit, gets knocked into, and just never gives up on the play, and ends up, you'll see Sarah Roycroft and Katie Kissel. Once they see we have possession, they take off on the fast break. So Caitlin gets a good play. Sarah's running wide. Katie's running wide. And again, just Caitlin with the hustle to get that tip over to Sarah. She finds Katie, who ends up with a wide open layup.
Just how you drew it up, right?
Just how I drew it up. And again, just for Caitlin to get to here, she's dribbling. She has possession, gets knocked into, loses it a little bit, sticks with it, and is able to tap that ahead. Was just a great play and a huge spark. You can see the bench is fairly excited. That cut the lead to 2 early in the third quarter, which was important because we had a tough stretch at the end of the half.
That's great. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you walking us through those plays. And again, the average fan is in the stands and doesn't necessarily see what's happening on a lot of that ball movement in the first play. The second play, you can kind of see, again, an individual hustle play. But then I also really liked how the spacing on the break took place, where people go, your 2 guards go wide, and that leads to a
2-on-1
to a layup. Coach.
Okay, so we're going to see a shocking ball screen, as Coach just said. So we're going to watch how the role in person is so important in this to get a wide open layup. So if we run through this, you'll see Pat Riley gets the ball in the wing, and John Ing is about to set a ball screen. And what we're trying to do on the weak side is draw other defenders away from that two-man game and set up some weak side play and force Foxborough to be in a help situation. We can either create a mismatch on a switch, or we can get an easy layup if he slips the screen. Now, Foxborough traditionally defensively has blitz ball screens, which means they send two guys running at the ball handler to try to create a turnover. Many teams use this strategy defensively. So one of the things we talk about is sprinting to the ball screen as the big. And if you notice John sprinting to that screen, he's creating a lot of space here between his defender number 5 and himself right here. So as this guy blitzes it, he's coming up at a high angle, and Pat can come around and hit John for a layup. So this is how it plays out. Okay, John rolls it, and we get him into a mismatch with number 11 helping out. So if I can go back again and show fast speed, if you watch, one of the most important pieces of this whole entire thing is what Connor Daniele does off this play. As he starts to draw his man up, okay, he'll bring his man to the top of the key as a ball reversal, ball swing player, taking a big away. So if the big comes out of help now, okay, a guard has to play that help, all right? And James McGowan, who's shot the ball pretty well, 4 is not, his 4 was told to face guard him and not leave him at all. So the only person that could help would be Jack's man, okay, on this particular situation. Pat does a good job, draws it to John, and then we get the easy bucket for the, putting it in. Good job by John keeping the ball high. All right, so in the second play, what you're going to see is number 1 for Foxborough, Brendan Board, is one of their better players in the league. So he's tremendous. He's their best player. And he starts off, and it's just a little simple action where they try to create a little misdirection with him, give him the ball, and get it back. And as Favors guarding him, they start to swing the ball over, and you notice now they swing the ball over to number 2, their big man, who's on the perimeter off a switch with Pat Riley guarding him. And he's a lefty, so Pat's going to force him to his right hand. As this man starts to dribble down, and we're forcing him to that, John Ing is going to rotate over and take a charge. We're forcing him to dribble out of control, and this causes us to get a good possession defensively. So if you notice that Pat pressures him, John rotates over, and the charge is called. Okay, so that's a heads-up play on his end, and also James McGowan on this play. If you notice, he was rotating down for the next man. So if for some reason they switched on that, James switched, so wouldn't get an easy, one wouldn't get an easy bucket. Pat pressured him, rotate over, charge taken. So good job on defensively by all 5 guys. And that's it. That's our rotation.
That's great. So this is a question to both of you. So we've gone over now some plays with you last week, Coach, and then Coach Clifford, a couple from the girls' action as well. How much film review do you do with your team? So we've just gone over a couple of plays. Do you, after a game, go home, look at the film and huddle, take these clips, and then have film sessions? And how much do you do that on a week-to-week basis?
I don't do enough. I know that. You can go second. I know you do more than we do. One of the best features of Huddle that I'd like to start to tap into is you can create playlists or have clips, and kind of the kids have access to the Huddle, so they could kind of do it on their own if you don't have the time or just can't get a film session in. We'll watch some film. We do a film share on the girls' side, so we have film of all the other teams. So sometimes we'll watch film of other teams just so we can see, like, this is what the press looks like. This is what that ball screen action that they run looks like. So things like that. But I think it's tough. There's obviously a lot going on, and we're go, and it's probably something we should use a lot more. I know I use it a lot, and it definitely informs practice plans and adjustments we make, kind of little tweaks to our plays, things like that. But I probably should do it more with the girls, but the options are there. Huddle's a great resource.
We do once a week on Saturdays. We watch film after lifting. Like Coach said, I mean, I'll watch tonight's game. I'll watch it before, it's even uploaded, just to keep watching stuff to see different things, because it does inform you and how you want to change your practice or plays, just like Coach said. The way we do it with our players, the players all have access to it, and they are giving a set of instructions as far as what plays to find. So it could be finding a play for yourself or someone that plays a similar position, both good and bad. It could be like give a group like one quarter, you take the second quarter, you guys take the third quarter, et cetera, or find a play defensively where we rotated correctly and a play where we didn't rotate correctly. And then they'll have to get up in front of the team and talk the whole play through. So we'll watch it all together, but they'll get up and instruct it and say what did right, what we didn't do right. And because to me, it just makes it, like if they can do that, then they'll be able to execute it when they play, more so than me constantly pointing where the mistakes are, or the good plays are.
Plus, you're increasing your coaching staff.
Yeah, right.
You got unlimited resources there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
No, that's great.
But it's definitely hard. Like Coach said, there's so much, you would love to be able to spend more time, and the more things that are in, you're going, between teaching and coaching and family and everything you're doing, it's just hard to be able to access, that there's only 24 hours in a day, and how much time can you spend on every single little piece? It's hard to balance everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, people show up to your games and think that it's some practice in the game, but there's so much more to it.
Right.
From the preseason, we've certainly covered the tryouts all the way through to early practices, and then the work that both of you put in is phenomenal. And Westwood is very, very fortunate. And I hear that from numerous coaches, certainly the coaches that were in the winter tournament.
Right.
I've heard it from a number of the girls' coaches that you'll face as well. So again, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Let's tee up the next segment, which is going to be the Norwood Physical Therapy and Vanderbilt Club Player Spotlight Player of the Week.
Great. Yeah, so on the girls' side, senior captain Olivia Holbrook is here. In our last win against Wayland, she had a career-high 14 points and was just huge for us. She shot, 5 for 10 from the floor, played great defense, and just did a lot for us. And in a low-scoring game, you'll take anybody that's hot. You just keep giving them the ball. So she had a couple threes, which isn't probably the most prominent part of her game, but just to really stretch out the defense, which was awesome. So, yeah, 14 points, just played a great game and was really big for us.
And I believe this is her first appearance as the Player Spotlight Player of the Week. So that'll be awesome to meet her. Coach?
Junior captain James McGowan was named tournament MVP. Had 2 great games, 16 points, I believe, against Hingham, and then 14 against Foxborough. So just a real threat, causing defenses to really have to focus, and it opens up for other people. And that's what people don't always understand is his presence on the court can allow other people to have freedom, because somebody on the defensive end has to be out of help now. And so he did great for us, and again was named MVP of the tournament. Yeah,
you mentioned that in the play that they were keying on James late in that game,
correct,
which opened everything up. It allowed for spacing, and then you could take that and use that to your advantage.
Correct.
Whereas in the stands, people are saying, run something to get James a shot. There was a huge three-pointer by Pat Riley late in that game, where James was able to pull his player, and it was
correct.
Those kind of things. Well, that's great. So certainly not his first, and probably not his last as well. So really look forward to meeting both of them and getting to know them a little bit more. Again, next week, as well as tonight, you've got big games. Continue the run. You're off to great starts, both of you. So let's keep it rolling.
Thanks.
Joining us in the studio are this week's Player Spotlight Player of the Week for both Norwood Physical Therapy and Vanderbilt Club, James McGowan and Olivia Holbrook. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you.
So coming off a pretty good break where the combined teams went 4-0, and both of you had a big part in those wins. So we'll start with you, James. Walk us through the winter tournament at Westwood High School. Big win against Hingham, followed by a great go-ahead, up by 20, fall behind, come from behind. I guess you'd call it a come-from-behind win against Foxborough. Walk us through those 2 games.
So we played Hingham the first game, and we had lost to them last year. So we were coming in trying to get some revenge, and we started off pretty slow, but I think the third quarter we picked it up. We came at halftime and just went right at them. We scored a lot that quarter and held them, I think, under 10 points. So that was very good. And then we carried that momentum into Foxborough, and we had a very good first quarter, probably the best first quarter we've ever had. Then it slowed down the second and third quarter, and they came back and eventually tied up the game and took the lead. But then we continued to fight in the fourth quarter, and then we pulled out the win.
Yeah, so coming into that tournament, Hingham, your first opponent, had a huge early season win against Bridgewater Raynham, tough competition, and again, you really put a lot of great things together in that game. I believe you scored 16 points. Did a lot of things both defensively and running the floor as well. And then the final against Foxborough, again, a really surprising first quarter where you absolutely blitzed them up by 20 plus points. And then, as you said, things settled down. What else did you take out of those games other than your individual MVP performance for the tournament?
I think it showed that we had the ability to start off strong because we hadn't done that all year. And even last year, we didn't really start out strong, so it showed us that we could do that. And it also showed us that we could fight because we were up by 20-something, and then they came all the way back, and it looked like they would have won from a fan's perspective. But then we kept fighting, and that was in part due to MJ's performance, who got All-Star. He came in not playing much against Medfield, and then came in and earned his minutes and played very well, and led us to victory.
Your English teacher will be very proud of that correction. There you go. Olivia, walk us through your two games, but in particular, this latest game against Wayland where you had a career high 14 points.
Yeah, Wayland was a really close game the whole time, very exciting. And we've been trying to work through, so Hattie, one of our very good posts, is injured and it's been difficult. So we're definitely looking for people who can score more. So yeah, I'm proud of our win against them.
That's great. And then in the previous game against Lincoln Sudbury, you went up in another great non-conference win.
Yeah, that was another close game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we pulled through.
So your game up until this last Wayland game has been mostly defensive-minded. You're typically playing one of the best scorers on the other side, and you're doing a lot of the little things. As you mentioned, with Hattie going down with an ankle injury, were you specifically called on to score more, or was that just the way that the game evolved?
I think that's just the way the game evolved. And I just think that someone needed to step up. In that game it was me, but in any other game it's going to be any other player. We're all good and we can score. And in particular our freshmen really did well in both games, and both freshmen played in Wayland.
That's
and
great.
Actually Ariana got her first 2 baskets. So.
That's huge. Well, shout out to Ariana and the rest of the freshman team. You are the first real Player of the Week combo for both Norwood Physical Therapy and Vanderbilt Club. So I want to see you back here, and that means elevating your game, keeping it at the highest levels, but also encouraging the rest of your teammates. So you guys are great examples of Westwood basketball. So keep it up. Congratulations. Talk a little bit about the road ahead. Upcoming game tonight. You guys are on the road. You're at home against Hopkinton.
Last year, Hopkinton was very tough. I think it was close games both times we played them. And I mean, they're good every year, so it's going to be tough. And we actually haven't won on the road this year yet, so we're looking to get our first win on the road.
Awesome. Liv?
Yeah, Hopkinton, same thing. They've always been a good team, and I think their talent is really dispersed among their players, so it's going to be a tough one. But I'm
Awesome.
excited.
Well, Happy New Year to both of you. Again, congratulations on being the Player Spotlight / Player of the Weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. I want to thank all of you for joining us on Around the Hoop, the Westwood basketball program, the first episode of 2020. Happy New Year to all of you from myself, as well as Melinda Garfield, the Executive Director at Westwood Media Center, Erica Adams and Connor Lynch, as well as our sponsors, Norwood Physical Therapy and the Vanderbilt Club. Please support both the boys and girls programs. Huge games coming up. Friday night, Hopkinton will be in on the girls' side. Sunday, the boys will play at 6 p.m. at Bader Gymnasium, followed by Tuesday and Friday action. The boys will be home on Tuesday, and then both the boys and girls will have a doubleheader against Norwood on Friday. We'll be back next week, but until then, go Patriots in the wild card action against Tennessee, and go Westwood in all sports. Thank you, and we'll see you then.